So I'm excited to talk to you about short form content with someone who has a team of 32 people that is making, actually more than that, 32 clients that he's actively helping right now create short form content. I figured so many people are making short form content that we'll actually bring an expert on. So I've got Keigan Carthy.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Keigan. Yeah.
It's a Canadian thing, right?
Exactly.
It's a Canadian thing. I'm saying it like an American, yeah. I just threw America under the bus on Memorial Day. No, nevertheless.
Just like me with Siri earlier. So.
Right? Wait, be careful saying that. Siri's listening. So short form content is like taking over all over the place, and so many people have missed the boat or feel like they missed the boat on short form content. First of all, have people missed the boat?
No, they haven't. Everybody needs it. I mean, you look at the local business area, you can look on just about any social media for an auto body shop, performance repair, whatever it is. They have next to no social media presence. Everything's just focused on their website. I mean, there's a huge market just right there. But I mean, more and more entrepreneurship is becoming a trend, in my opinion. Everybody wants to be an influencer, a fitness coach, and they think they're experts in whatever they are. And more they're going to need content. So I think if you're in an agency or in that space, you're just getting going.
Oh, wow. So as far as making short form content for your clients, what are some of the primary things that you think about when you're going in to make short form? Since most people it's going to be foreign to them in the first place. They just want to sell a product or sell their service.
Well, the first thing is understanding the goal. What do they actually want to achieve? So for most clients, it's achieving a business result, whether that be selling a product or service, email list signups, whatever that may be. So you need to understand that. I need to make sure, me personally, I understand that, as well as my team, the business, the niche, the industry, everything along those lines. That's step one. From there, then we need to understand the content and what we're going to achieve. So we'll look at where they're at in that process. And we use a 3-stage process called the 3x3. So your why, your how, your what. And we'll usually walk people through that entire process, and then it goes to the targeting. So we boost every single piece of content that we make and target it towards their ideal client, your target audience, etc.
So why, how, what?
Correct.
Okay, so why?
Why that's just strictly about you. So Andrew Cartwright, talk to me about personally, your stories, how you got to where you are. Why do you do what you do? Just things along those lines.
So why would you listen to me?
Pretty much, exactly. So
it's funny because I put that in videos that I do, and I didn't in the beginning, and then I realized that so many people said, "Man, why don't you tell people what you've done so they know why they should listen to you?"
Exactly.
And I'm like, I don't want to. To me, that's bragging, And then so most of the videos I do now, I figure nobody's watched another video, so I put in the video that I've started 32 companies. It's actually like 38. But I've said 32 for the last few years, so you just don't change it. In 17 completely different industries, but actually it's more industries now because now I have a YouTube business, right? Which is a whole nother industry. Yeah. And then we're opening up a podcast studio, which is along the same industry but new industry. So do I say 18? So. It's one of those things, but fascinating. And what I noticed was how much of a difference it made. And there's a lot of stuff I don't say too. Like I've built and remodeled a couple hundred homes, industrial parks, so many things. And if I said everything I've done in the last 40 years in business, I wouldn't get to talk about any of the stuff. So how do you pick the why?
The why, that just comes down to the person. I can't really help with that. I can give you the road work and the map to how you get there, but it's all up to you. It's strictly about the person. There's no business content. It's just you want to get to know somebody. And the reason that we do that is because throughout the why, how, and the what, we take people through a synergy. So we're boosting every piece of content, like I said, but your ideal client sees every piece of content and the why, the how, the what. Throughout that creates a synergy so that they never feel like they're being sold. So it's not just the typical, I can sit here with my phone, record a 1-minute video being like, buy my short form content coaching program. Anybody can do that. But by providing the value, people never feel like they're being sold, and you're not just that asshole that's just always beating on their own chest, just thinking they're the best.
I was thinking about somebody this morning, and an interesting, And everything they put up on Instagram is them doing some whatever great thing with construction or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I said, well, why doesn't he have any traction as far as building an audience, right? No traction. He's doing amazing stuff, amazing concrete work, amazing roofing, and he's out there and he's got a bunch of guys and he's remodeling houses. He shows the before and after house and the whole bit, right? And then I was taking a shower. I don't know why I was thinking about this guy when I was taking a shower, but it's one of those I think all the time about this obsessive thing called people and media and why things are interesting to people is always fascinating to me, and attention, what we give our attention to. Yeah. And I thought about it. When's the last time you stopped by somebody pouring concrete and stood and watched them for hours pour concrete?
Literally never.
Like I don't, when I drive by people pouring concrete, I don't see 5 or 10 people watching concrete. Or somebody changing a roof tile, I don't see a bunch of people that are walking down the street that sit there and watch somebody change a roof tile.
Yeah.
So, and then I started laughing like you are right now. I was like, there's no crowd there.
Yeah.
Right? It would be different if he fell off the roof and was hanging by a rope off of the roof. You would probably have a group of people that would eventually start lining up along the street, right?
Exactly.
So, and then it begs the question, how many people create content? And this is one of the things that I dislike about media is people that go out of their way to create gotcha content for attention. To me, it's just so, it works though, but it's gross.
Yeah, I think people just like to see the negative and just see things that they wouldn't do themselves. Like as an example, one of my clients is one of the top nonprofits for homelessness, and the stories that we tell are like the nitty gritty of homelessness. It's not just success stories. It's real interviews with heroin addicts on the street while they're in the middle of a high.
Can we say which company this is?
Invisible People.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I think it's under an underserved conversation. I even thought about, and this is something, I can't believe you're saying this. I literally thought about this after the shower conversation about people lining up to watch concrete, which was, we need a podcast with homeless people where you have a host and you bring in homeless people and hear their stories and hear how they got there and why, what it is, because I think people walk by homeless people every day and they won't talk to them.
Yep.
If they do talk to them, it's an absolute terror and fear and pretending like they're actually having a conversation.
Exactly.
But the undertone is this person is like not even a real kind of person.
Yeah, they're not people.
Or there's some kind of disease they're going to catch or something like that. I know because I actually was homeless.
Wow.
In 2002, I think 2001, 2002.
Oh.
But I didn't tell anybody. I noticed how people responded immediately when you said it.
Yeah.
They disappeared from your life.
Yeah.
As if you were going to ask them for something, which I would never do. Right? So, and then I learned so many different things about life there and people. Right? And I learned some of the things that were amazing about freedom. And about how boxed in my life had been up until that period of time. I had no responsibilities at all. I had a storage unit that was $50. I took a shower for $10.
Yeah.
And I happened to still be holding on to my car that was out for repossession. So I had at least a vehicle to get around, and I would park the vehicle behind apartment gates because they couldn't get into the apartments in order to repo the car. So that was my thing. And I had somebody that actually said, "Were you really homeless?" This was something that actually upset me. I was like, he goes, "You weren't homeless. You had a car." I'm like, wow, there's a qualifier. But he was right. What upset me was he was right, ultimately. You know what I mean? There are degrees of homelessness.
Correct.
Right? So, and that to me, because of my pain, I felt like I qualified for that, right? Like it qualifies for that. I was. Yeah. It happened. It was fast, overnight, like just a crooked case, and lost $15 million when $1,000 in debt, lost my house, fiance ran off with the attorney, and it was and like literally, my life was, yeah. I put a gun in my mouth, like, you know, and pulled the trigger halfway down, and it was a complete craziness. But we don't really interface at all with homeless people, right?
No, like the average person doesn't. I mean, now working with this client has completely changed my perception. I mean, I was the stereotypical, I'd walk by them downtown in my city, I wouldn't say anything, I wouldn't offer to help out. But now working with this client for the past few months, 4 or 5 months now, it's really opened up my eyes that they're people too, because I get to see the stories firsthand, and now I make an effort where they're people too. They want to be heard and seen just like us. They crave attention just like all other humans do. So even something as simple as having a genuine conversation with somebody makes the world of a difference. You don't need to put them up in a hotel room, buy them food. Obviously, that's great. But if you actually have a conversation with them and tell them that they're seen and that they're real people, that makes a bigger difference than any of the stuff I just described.
Yeah, like treating them like a human being.
Exactly.
Like you would anybody else. It's the fact that they're treated like an animal, even worse than an animal. We pet animals.
And we're nice to animals.
And we feed animals, and we're nice to them. But to people, we ignore them and run from them like they're a disease, and afraid of them, that they could do harm to our life. You know, how many, in regards to that, because of this client, I know that you didn't come on the podcast to talk about this particular client. It's about short form.
Of course.
So you're making short form content to raise awareness for them.
Correct.
And how has that gone?
Fantastic. I mean, we're generating them about 5 to 10 million impressions every month on Instagram, generated over 50,000 followers, similar on TikTok, YouTube, it's kind of the same growth. It's gone fantastic because we understood the goal, what they wanted to achieve, and we've highlighted that in the stories that we're creating and the videos that we're picking out of their footage.
Wow. So they're filming quite a bit.
Yes. So basically kind of the way the process works for them is you can look on their YouTube channel after this, but they have a ton of long form video that they never had a team go through because they're kind of riding the short form wave too, and they're reaping the rewards. But regardless, so we just go through up to 10 or 15 years back of just all these fantastic stories. I mean, there's stuff where there's a 17-year-old kid who's been on the street since he was 4 years old.
4?
Yeah, it's EJ. You can see something like that. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but he's super young. He's a kid, a genuine kid. You could find that. It has like 20 million views or something like that, or 200 million. But just stories like that. And then it didn't really hit home because, I mean, you can watch it just like you would any other YouTube video. We're not really paying attention, but being involved in the post-production, the posting, everything like that, it's forcing me to watch the video and really take every word, and it's definitely left an impact on me.
Wow. Yeah. How could it not have an impact?
Yeah.
What's interesting, I think we've become desensitized a lot by media.
Yes.
We see the most, in crazy things, and yet we just go, oh. It's just, I mean, we've become desensitized.
Yeah.
Do you think that the fact, what's interesting about Invisible People, though, is that I think it almost sensitizes you. It's like the reverse, because this is real.
Yeah.
Right? This is not, not made up stuff. This is real stuff.
And there's a lot of people with it where, like, we have stories where people have college degrees, PhDs, and they're still in the streets. So it's come to my attention that it's like, wow, this can happen to me at any point in time. My business could go under tomorrow.
Yeah.
I could lose all my money, and I could be on the streets within a week. And it's crazy that that's the society we live in and the world we live in.
Yeah, I have lived with that reality since 2001. So for me, it's been 22 years of knowing that it doesn't take much, and it doesn't matter what level of life you're at. It can take us all. It's like that fast, especially in the environment that we live in, the litigious environment, the wrong circumstance, right? Being in the wrong place at the wrong time and just happen to be doing the wrong thing can turn your life upside down.
It's
and
scary.
Everything you have can be gone.
Yeah.
And that's a reality. It's weird.
I know. It's like it's surreal to talk about almost, because like I'm young. I don't really have that much life experience in the grand scheme of things, but regardless, just even thinking about how that can happen is just like, I have goosebumps just thinking about it. It's scary.
Yeah, it's strange. And I mean, even I've been a multimillionaire 4 times.
Wow.
4 times from broke and homeless.
Yeah.
So, and rebuilt, the last rebuild, I started negative $12.8 million.
Oh my God.
That's like the starting place. Was like I wake up and somebody who is broke is in a better position than me. And of course, I could have bankrupted. I just chose not to. I chose to call everybody that I owed money, to work on repairing all the situations, doing the best I could for each bank and that had given me loans. I was during 2008, so it was like everybody was upside down. So it was just a matter of like doing the best I could. I didn't steal air conditioning units. I didn't rip out wire and sell it, and I didn't do any of that stuff. I just went to work every day, fenced off all the areas, called the banks every day. They said, Andrew, you're the only one calling us. Like everyone else is hiding from us. I said, well, we got a problem, right? And I'm not leaving you hanging. And they go, yeah, you owe us money. I said, yeah, I know that too. But it doesn't get better by leaving you hanging. So, and it was like April 12th, 2012. It was literally about a mile from here, in front of a coffee shop that I was debt free. I paid off my last $50,000 of the 12.8. Wow. And I was debt free. I remember April 12th, 2012 was about 11 o'clock in the morning. And I just got the agreement to pay the last 50 grand, and I was completely debt free. April 12th.
Holy shit, that is one hell of a story.
Yeah. So then it was, start over ground zero, and then rebuild everything. So rebuilt it all.
And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And now I feel like I've built it stronger than ever before, because I'm so layered in different ways. No bank can, no matter what banks do to me, it doesn't matter. I can, pay off any loan, anything I've ever borrowed in a second, with a click of a button. And they know that, which is an interesting leverage.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can threaten me by calling the note, but I can just pay it, So they're like, oh, okay. So, but it's fascinating just having gone through that, knowing that even now I don't take it for granted that it could all disappear tomorrow. I hate rebuilding a fifth time, but my blueprint just always makes me a multimillionaire over and over again.
What's your blueprint?
Well, the blueprint is live way below your means, long enough to save up enough capital, fix your credit, get your credit in gear, and then take that and then leverage with debt and grow, and then save, live below your means, invest, leverage more, and then open companies. Just keep, if you open 4 companies and 3 fail but 1 takes off, it'll probably make you a lot more money than if you didn't start that 4th company.
Exactly.
So, I haven't had a company that's failed. They've all succeeded, but they run life cycles. Like some companies make sense to do for a while and they make money, and then they start not making money, and you didn't really fail. It just stopped. Maybe there was too many competitors now. Maybe you just can't get the right personnel, and maybe you just need to close the door, and put your energy somewhere else. So wherever my energy is focused on, value gets created. So now it's a matter of picking the things that create the most value. Okay. So that's my blueprint, and never get attached to money. Like to me, all the money that I have or all the things that I have, I'm not attached to. Okay. To me, they're sort of separate. A lot of people will see money in a bank account and they'll spend it. Yeah. I have none of that desire. I don't have the desire to empty a bank account. I know that if you take your soldiers off the field, you can't fight a war. Right? So, money, if you want to put it to work. And the other thing is, I also don't want my money sitting on a couch. I want my money on a treadmill running at full speed. Gotcha. Right? Yeah. So the more money I can have making money, the faster I can grow and leverage. So as soon as I can, like people think, and I don't know why, they'll think that, like even I have a stock thing in every one of my descriptions. You literally get free stock by opening up an account. And if you open up an account and deposit $1,000, They give you the most amount of stocks. They make zero money. But if you put 1,000, they think you're a great customer, and they give you 15 stocks that could be as much as 30 grand, like for free. And it's a click of a button and a transfer of $1,000 into just another insured account, right? Insured up to like 100 million or something like that, right? So, and I'm putting $1,000, I get free stock. And then Moomoo, you put 1,000 there, you get like 30 free stocks or something, depending on the promotion. That's 45 stocks without spending a dime. Like,
You can't get that anywhere.
yeah, with my financial intelligence, I can't, like, and Chase sends you a thing for $500 to open up a savings account. Like, who wouldn't open a savings account? They're going to give you $500.
Exactly.
Like, or paying on a credit card that gives you 2% back, like Apple on every single purchase, or 3% back. Like, just little basic things. And that $5,000, that'll make you, let's say, $250 a year right now in a CD. Like, that's $250. And people go, oh, $250 is not a lot of money. I said, it's not the money. It's how you think about money. I don't care if it's 500, 5,000, 500,000, 5 million, or 5 billion. How you treat money is literally how much you're going to eventually have. So if you have a Hyundai today and you want a Ferrari, you should start treating the Honda like a Ferrari, and eventually you'll have a Ferrari and know how to treat it, right? Rather than, not taking care of your Honda.
Exactly.
So it's like, take care of, like, when you got nothing, So anyway, that's my this is not my podcast. This is your podcast. This is you. We're featuring you and short form content. So thank you for letting me,
Of course.
Yeah. So I figured you asked a question. I asked the questions here. This is my show. I asked the questions. So what would be like? Okay, so we went through the why, which I'm interested in. Like, so many people want to build personal brands, right? That seems to be like the number one thing right now is personal brand. Everybody should build a personal brand. What are your thoughts on that in regards to short format and personal brand? Personal
brand is just video content. It goes hand in hand, but a lot of people, they look at it the wrong way. They don't make lasting connections like we are here. They're not going out building friendships. All that they're doing is just sitting in front of a phone and telling everybody how good they are at something. 99% of the people do this. That's all that you see. That's where all the comparison comes in. Somebody goes, rents a Lamborghini, posts about it, is flexing. That's them thinking they're building a personal brand. No, it's just vanity. Most intelligent people can see right through that. So with personal branding, I don't put out a lot of content. It's hypocritical, even though I run a content agency, but all the content that I do put out is co-created, whether that be with industry leaders, friends in the industry, something along those lines. It's with somebody else who are trustworthy and trusted by somebody. That's my suggestion for building a personal brand, is just find a friend, make content with them. Otherwise, you're just an asshole banging on your own chest.
Yeah. I see so much of that. Look at me. My life's wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's no personal connection there. I know that, it's like, if you're not creating value for other people, if you're not giving value, then what's the point of them?
There's no point.
I mean, you've wasted their time.
Yep.
Like, every time that I'm making content, I'm like, there's somebody on the other side. There's somebody that is going to give 6, 8 minutes, 12 minutes of their life to me. And the bar to earn that time for me is high. Like, I have to sit back and say, if somebody doesn't listen to this, it is so good for them and what they're trying to accomplish that, I feel I'm upset that they're not getting the information because it's valuable.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of how I look at it, and approach everything, is how do I provide value? And I've done it. So I have the experience from all levels. So it doesn't matter how, like, if your credit's completely messed up, all that stuff, I can speak to it.
Yeah.
I can speak to real estate, development, all that stuff. So, my thing, and what's interesting about my personal brand, is people have no idea how wide and deep I go. Like they only see the iceberg.
Yeah.
And that's been, I think, one of the problems that my team and I have had is like, how do we show the rest of my iceberg?
I mean, that just comes down to more content, creating just a ton of different angles. Like, I mean, we've only cracked the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure we could go on for hours and hours just about your story and how you got to where you are today.
Right.
But it's just a matter of putting that down on paper and understanding where you want to go and what your goal is in the first place.
Just saying, what happened?
It said battery exhausted.
Oh. Okay, make sure you put a lens cap on there, because if a speck of dust gets on that open frame, full frame, $4,400 camera, we've got a big speck. And then when we try and clean the speck,
Is this?
yes. Oh, all we had to do was plug that in.
What's that?
All we had to do was plug that in.
I was looking for that plug.
No, but I mean, you could literally just pop that side off, and then, well, it's got the mount on it already. So here, hand me the camera. All right. So flip this down, take this out, grab that one. From a Lambo. You get a lot of aggressive energy from a Lambo. Ferrari, not as aggressive. McLaren, a little less aggressive. But Lambos create like the most aggression, especially like an Aventador. People come up and they will like aggressively talk to you.
Really?
Yeah, like how'd you make your money? Like it's funny. What's interesting though is driving like Bentleys. I like Bentleys, like the convertible Continental.
Yeah.
The convertible. So that one creates like a nice energy. People respect you. They know that you like probably have some money, but treat you kind of decent. It was my favorite experience of driving any exotic car.
Really?
The rules felt like, I should have a driver.
Okay.
I felt like I was driving a tank. It's like, I should have a driver for this one. Beautiful car. I mean, just everything is tight on it, of course. Some aggressive energy like the Lambo, but not as, it's interesting. And since then I've been like, my daily is a Tesla. So nobody says nothing. Right. And I've kind of been that way. I'd rather, be on a racetrack with my race car than putting around. But I have thought about starting to show like an Aventador and start using that as a way to get attention and help with the personal brand, because by not doing that, there's some people, and this is what I've been told. Some people say that because I'm not showing off the exotic cars and the fact that I have money, then people that should know about me won't know about me. And those people I could help open businesses. Like I got a business program that I spent $43 million learning. And I have like 50 videos that teach people how to patent, how to trademark, how to get exclusive rights, all the tricks and tools for like $2,000.
Yeah.
That took me $43 million to learn.
Okay.
Right? That is like just sitting there. And maybe somebody who saw a Lambo would be motivated enough to learn like I did about how to obtain like exclusive rights, so that at 17 I had 200 employees and was a millionaire.
Holy shit.
Right? It's because of what I learned. Right? And my youngest manager at 17 years old was 37 years old. That was my youngest manager, like that ran salespeople.
Yeah.
My youngest sales manager was 37 years old.
Holy shit.
And I was 17. Yeah. Tom McCree was his name. And it was really, he told me later, he goes, and like 10 years later, he goes, do you know how hard it was for me to listen to a 17-year-old like yelling in my face about what I should or shouldn't do? He goes, that was just really hard to deal with. I said, well, you try and be a 17-year-old managing a 37-year-old man. Not easy. You didn't want to listen to anything I had to say. And like if I didn't yell it, you didn't hear me, right? Or if I didn't fire you or threatened to fire you, you didn't hear me. So it was like, and yet you made a lot of money. The guy was making $2,000-$3,000 a week, right? And he was trying to go around me. He was trying to call the manufacturer, trying all kinds of stuff, trying to go to a all kinds of stuff, right? And he tried it all. And because I knew what I knew and I had the rights, there was nothing he can do. So here's a 17-year-old, because of what I knew, that's a tool in my course that for a decade made me a ton of money to the point where I could retire at 26, all because of a course I bought and learned that literally my youngest manager of 200 people was 37. It's like the power of like, so my point is the information that I have and that I could teach people, if the Lamborghini gets the attention of somebody who wants a Lamborghini in the drive, and I have the tools to teach them how to get there in one way or another, because I'm like a Swiss Army knife when it comes to business. Like there's so many things I can help people with, and I'm dying to help. Like it's like everywhere I go. If you're in line with me at Starbucks, I will coach you and change your life at Starbucks. I can't help it. Which is why my wife tries to keep me away from people because I constantly give away everything I know. I can't help but help. Like it's literally, so she's like, look, you need to get in a position where people are paying you for the help so they actually use it and appreciate it, so that you're not like irritating people, helping them with stuff that they don't plan on changing, right? At least if people pay you, they have the intention to maybe change, and if they don't, they've paid you for what you've coached them on. So there's, at least they didn't steal your time.
Exactly.
But I literally can't help it. Like if somebody's making dumb moves in business, I can't help but like shed light on something to do.
You have a bleeding heart.
It's bad. But it's like I have so much compassion and empathy. I put myself 100% in that person's shoes and I feel their struggle, right? And I'm like, oh, I don't want you to struggle. Here's what I did.
Because you've been there.
Yeah, I've been in that situation. So I'm like, yeah. But back to personal branding. So is it wrong not to get to not show in post, you know, an Aventador, maybe a McLaren, a bunch of stuff, show off my 12,000 square foot home, my pool, all it, like the stuff, the racing? Should I be showing all this stuff so that I could get the attention on a personal brand to be able to deliver material that could change people's lives?
There's a way to do it, and there's a certain angle that you have to take, where you can't be the typical bropreneur where it's like, look at my Lamborghini, look at me. It's maybe take the car guy route angle, because I can tell that you're one. I'm the same way.
Yeah, cars have been like posters on my wall since I've been a kid. And really, it's funny. I have an emotional connection.
Me too.
With Lambos, Ferraris, with Pantera, which was one of my favorite cars when I was a kid, and the whole story behind that, where Ford was trying to buy Ferrari, and you know, Ford got the middle finger, and they sold to Fiat, and you know, he had an Italian wife and he wanted an Italian car company. So he connected, and that whole, and had a, you know, so there, I'm definitely have always been into fun cars. You know, the electric cars really screwed a lot of things up because it outperform. Like my Tesla beat a Ferrari. It's like,
but it's not the noise, it's not the feel.
I know.
That's 85% of it.
Well, the race car right behind you, the engine behind there, you can't hear anything else but the engine. And when you're roaring down it's incredible.
Well, I drove a Huracan for the first time at the track, and that was like first time behind the wheel of a supercar, and that was that was crazy. That was one of the best moments of my life so far. And just the experience to drive something like that is truly special.
Yeah, it's funny because I get more sappy about cars, and the feeling of the car, and the feeling of like a Ferrari, and the design, and the look and the feel of it. It's more of an emotional thing for me than it is a show-off thing. Like, in fact, every exotic I've ever had, I've hid it.
Highlight it.
I hid it from people.
To the people that are like you, there's a lot of other people that are like us, where they love cars. Like, their true passion is cars. You don't have to tie the content, and that maybe to create a separate YouTube channel for your cars. Put content out just about that, educating people on it. Build up an audience, and then you're going to get the comments of like, when you're at a stoplight, what do you do? What do you do? And then you can choose of how you're going to strategize, and then start to release that and open up. Or maybe you funnel people into a free offer where you're giving away a ton of knowledge, but then you have an upsell to whatever your coaching program is. I'm not familiar with exactly what you do and what you offer, but there's something along those lines. but take the part of it's your passion. You're going to love creating that content as it is. It's not going to be a chore.
Right.
Create content that, market it to the people like you and me, and then that car naturally attracts attention. But you're not being the bropreneur that's super show-offy about it. You're doing it for all the right reasons.
You know, it's funny. You know what I have no problem creating content on? Strategy, business, getting loans, credit, understanding, you know, the whole model of how business works. That has always been, like, I drive down the street and every business I drive by, I analyze in my head.
Yeah.
How many cars drive by, what the possible margins are,
Okay.
how much they're probably making, how many cars are in the parking lot, what the ingress and egress is like to be able to get to that location, how much of an online presence they might have, how much competition is in the area, and, you know, basically lay out what that business could probably make in a year and probably how many locations you'd need to survive if you were in business. Or what business should be there that would make sense, that's underserved in an area.
Okay.
Is kind of, or what could be built there as a developer. I think, oh, there's a pad, which is an open area,
Yep.
that I could build a restaurant. What restaurant would be, what fast food or what service-based business can use a pad like that, you know, where other people don't even see the pad. You know,
Yep.
I see an opportunity to build a $2 or $3 million company.
Okay.
You know, is kind of what runs through my mind when I'm driving down the street. So that stuff is what juices me. And to partner with other people to do that, like in my Epic 99, we're buying 99 companies. That's what excites me, is to do that with other people.
Okay.
Like, you know, let's say you're a manager at some place and you want to do something. This is more about my stuff, but
Yeah.
it's just, I'm looking to change 99 people's lives. That's like my current goal right now. I know Dennis is trying to, you know, provide 1 million jobs to people, which is a huge goal. Made me feel like, geez, man, I'm just trying to help 99 people. You're going to 1 million. Like, yeah, no, my wife would never go for that. You know, 99 is my stop point, retire point, be done kind of situation. But short form is something that we've been focused on lately, and we've been really repurposing all our short form almost the same on every platform. So we're not actually editing specific to the platform, which is something that I've seen other people do to platforms. They'll make something that has a TikTok feel to it.
Okay.
They'll have something that has an Instagram feel to it, and they'll have something that has a YouTube feel to it. And I don't know if they do it for Facebook, but they have different editors for each particular short that they're making. Do you think it's important to change the shorts for each format, or is it just the content itself? It doesn't really matter.
It's 100% the content itself. The term that I like to use is I just put fuel on the fire. I don't make the fire. It's, if the content's not good, you can put all the editing techniques behind it. You're still not going to get views. You're still not going to drive leads. It's the content. Some of my best performing videos on TikTok myself, no editing, completely raw. I'd stutter in the video. And those are the ones that bring me the most business because it's raw, it's authentic. So I'm a big proponent of just simple captions so somebody can read if they have their sound off. That's just me personally because I found that's what works. And my whole thing and my why about the business is I want to push authenticity in content because I think that's where we're going. With all the AI, we're not going to be able to tell who's real, who's not. And I think that type of content's really what's going to convert in the future. But regardless, no, I don't think editing specific videos for each platform is really going to matter. It's the content that really matters.
I think it just makes you look more professional for those guys, I think.
Fair enough.
I think that, like, I got it from Alex Hormozzi's, Grow on Video. He was showing how he has editors for each particular platform, and it had a different look for each one. So for him, he may look like a superstar on those platforms because he's doing it. So for his brand, he may look more professional as a social media influencer to get attention than somebody who's just rawly putting up stuff. So he does look more professional.
Of course.
There's almost like a professional influencer
Absolutely
look.
there is. Absolutely there is. I agree with that.
Right? So But I also see people who have a professional influencer look that have no influence, right? That are actually buying views as well and buying followers.
Yeah.
Because I can tell they don't have the traction underneath their follower base.
Yep.
You know?
It's ego. That's all that it is. It's like I have to look professional. I have to look cool because I have 10,000 followers. I have to buy them so people at home and my friends can think I'm making all this money. It just goes back to the same thing where people just record videos and beat on their chest. Those are probably the same people that are buying the followers, renting the supercars and flexing.
Yeah. I think that drives people off, though. I don't think it pulls people in.
I've been surprised of seeing my personal friends fall for like courses that people are selling because
yeah, that's true. I mean, I showed you somebody earlier that's like literally screaming at the camera.
Yeah, and I mean,
the general penitentiary life or whatever, a general population guy who's all buffed out, the bro entrepreneur and showing all the cars and look at me, look what I've done. And I see some people that are willing to make outrageous claims that are not necessarily true. When you back up like what's going on, but also, he claims he's making $2 million a month, and that it's like 85% profit.
But if you have to talk about that, is it really true?
Well, the other thing is, he's signing up people to coaching programs for like $3,000 a pop. So I don't know how many of that, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But he talks about how he's selling and I guess, if you hardcore sell, maybe it works for a while. But I would think if you're one of those people, aren't you turned off by the fact that somebody's like, I don't want to tell people I'm making a ton of money off them, right? I'm like trying to provide value to them. I don't want the money to get in the way. Like how often do we find out people are making money and then we don't want to listen to them anymore? It's like, oh, you're making money off this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I want it to be about the value that I create, not the money I make. Like the money should not be something, it's an easy way. Like I've never done videos on how much money I make or how much this, because I don't think it's what I'm making. It's not what you're making. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And it's like, to me, it's a flex and it's gross.
It is gross. It's, especially my generation. I mean, I don't know if you're on Twitter much, but there's this whole circle called Money Twitter. And it's just basically a bunch of guys just jerking each other off. Everybody thinks they're this big internet celebrity. They moved to Miami. They're living the life. And it's just that side of Twitter, that's all that it is. And it's sad because a lot of young adults get caught up in that side of the internet of just wanting to be like this guy because I have all these girls, I have the cars, the bottle service at the clubs, everything you can imagine. But it's gross and it's a lack of substance. And it's like, my thought is like, are you really happy at night? When you put your head on the pillow, are you really happy with yourself?
But how much of that is fake? Like, I look at how much of it's really sustainable, and real. Most of the people that I know that are billionaires, like I have a friend, he just went in for some cancer treatment. I'm worried about him, but he's a billionaire. He has 9 jets. You would never know he has jets. When I hang out with him, you would never know. You would never know anything about this guy, but. When he flies here, he spends $40,000 to visit in his plane. He has 2 pilots that come with him. He also is a pilot, so he can fly the plane if he had to. And then he'll fly back. Yeah. And, he's like, it's just great. I remember one property, he paid $100 and some odd million for it, the Marshall property. And he flew me out there to show me the property and was checking it out. Marshall is the guy that owned it, the one that was married to Anna Nicole Smith.
I just watched that documentary.
Yeah. So that house, the big one with the horse stables and stuff like that, he bought that house.
Holy
on
shit.
The creek and the whole bit. So I was there. I've got pictures of the whole thing. So he's a landing strip right a little bit further, another property that he owns. And we're going around and we're feeding all these animals, like literally all these animals they have on their livestock everywhere.
Yeah.
And we go out and we're just feeding all these animals. I'm like, this is what you do in Texas? He goes, yeah, when you have this much property, you help all the wildlife. You like feed them and all this. They had feeders and all just animals everywhere. I'm like, wow, this is wild. And then he had llamas, like literally one of them like hit my head, like was biting my head. I'm like, what the hell? But I've got pictures of that. It's just a whole different life.
Yeah.
But you would never know this guy has anything, and he flies all over the world, drills. He has all the drilling equipment for oil wells, and he puts in roads all over the world. And you would never know. Humble guy, you know, just, and doesn't boast about anything, won't, you know, nothing.
And
you know.
And one of the things that Dennis told me, first times we met, because the first time I met him, even talked on like Zoom, I was intimidated because you can tell, you do your research, he's a successful guy. And my experience was, people I thought were successful, they were assholes. But Dennis told me, the people that are truly successful don't have anything to prove to you, and they're more often than not the nicest people. Dennis, as an example, I've met a handful of other people on this trip that are doing just outrageous amounts of money that are mind-blowing, but they're the nicest people. They have compassion, they care, they listen to you, everything along those lines. So I think it's really the type of person you are, shows if it's real or not.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right about that. So, I mean, there are a few jerks
Of course.
that you know, and I've met a few of those and go, is that the shortcut?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I would have to say most of the people that I know that are wildly successful are extremely, work on themselves interpersonally. They work in their relationships. They care about, the more successful you become, the more you have to become a better person. Mm-hmm. You know, there's more eyes on you. There's more people that are looking to take you down. There's more. So doing the right thing becomes the only thing that you do.
Okay.
If you're smart. If you're smart, you do the right thing.
Yeah.
You just do clean business. You do clean deals.
Yeah.
Because if you try and screw people over, and I say try because ultimately you probably won't get away with it, you're going to spend so much time and so much energy that could have been directed at doing the right thing. And if you do the right thing long enough and you do it good enough, consistently enough, you'll be rich. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Do good things long enough, consistent enough, and you'll be rich.
It's that simple.
It's yeah. And there's only two things you can do in the world: deliver a product or a service. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
When I was 15 years old, that blew my mind. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. All of a sudden, business became real simple. It's got two categories.
Yep.
Right? It's either a product or a service. I know that doesn't hit people because when I tell them, they're like not blown away. When I was 15, I'm like, my mind was blown because I had made business so complicated at that point. I'm trying to think about what it was, No, it's about providing products to people or services, or a combination of both. And then add layers of whatever industry on top of it. And that's why I can be in 17, 18 industries, because at the end of the day, I'm either delivering a product or a service, you know? Mm-hmm. And then there's competitors in that, and there's goals, and the rest is pretty simple.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah. So as far as, do you think everybody should be doing short form content?
I mean, yeah, it depends what vertical you're in, but I think everybody has a story to tell. I think every person's unique, and that's the main thing that you need to highlight. Because at the end of the day, people buy from people. Mm-hmm. And so that's the first thing you need to highlight if you're just starting out with content in general is highlight you as a person and then highlight everything else. Then you earn the right to sell people. But I'm a firm believer in you don't have the right to sell an audience unless you've earned their trust first. And in my opinion, the only way that you can earn somebody's trust on the internet is becoming authentic and sharing your stories, sharing your why, everything along those lines.
Wow. So, you know what's interesting? I love your take on this. Gary Vee says that part of the reason that he does all of the content is so that someday his grandkids can look back and see what he's done. That he thinks of social media more as documentation of life. And I've often thought about, for many people that are unmotivated to do short form or even long form content, in some ways, we have this free service that holds videos. We have several platforms that have free services of videos that archive our existence. Like, from that viewpoint, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a strategy that would motivate people to do more short form content, is to think about it as documenting your life?
Yeah, you could use it as time capsule. I mean, my grandma could pick up the phone and start and recording 1 minute video to have for me or my kids or whatever it may be. So we could definitely use it as a time capsule. But I think in regards to business, it's if you're unmotivated with recording content in the first place, then what's the rest of your marketing look like? Usually if people are unmotivated in one part, there's a lot of other issues that follow after that.
For sure. You see that in relationships.
Exactly.
People get in relationships and they're so concerned about what the other person should be doing for them.
Yep.
It's like in my personal life, I actively spend the time thinking about all the things I appreciate about Anna and the reasons I love her and the amazing things she does in a day. Like today, she's like in the middle of between conference calls with like 400 employees. You know, she threw on an apron and cooked some stuff and looked like domesticated. And, you know, she put it on because she had a bunch of whites. You know, it's not something, she doesn't put an apron on, but that moment, that moment in time captured something. I just thought it was so cute and so amazing. And just in that moment, experienced a feeling of love for her. And I constantly look for things what she does to experience love for her. Like the responsibility for her, to me, in my mind, it's not her responsibility for me to feel love for her. It's my responsibility to love her and to find the love I have in me to give her, right? Every day.
Absolutely.
Until she doesn't want to be with me anymore. You know, hopefully that doesn't happen. But I feel like my responsibility of loving her is completely on me. Like,
Absolutely.
she doesn't have to do anything. Like, I'll do all my part. All she has to do is show up, right? It's kind of like, to me, I think the luxury of that is she's the beneficiary of never having to worry about me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also pretty selfish on my part. I get to experience love and no expectation for somebody that's in my life that, it's funny, she's calling me right now. How funny.
It's like Beetlejuice.
I know, right? It's crazy. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. She's amazing. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We'll go through some of your shorts. Do you mind if we post some of the invisible ones up?
Absolutely.
Yeah, give some word out to them. That's amazing. And I'd love you to come back and do some more stuff when we can dive in even deeper.
Me as well.
All right, cool. Yeah, because the boss called. You know? All right, man. Well, I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. As we're